That's so up in the air. Possibly like going and playing in New Zealand
Ooh.
or going in, there's always a possibility of me playing up at the next level.
Yeah.
So just kind of all up in the air. We'll see. But I'm definitely going home in July. And then I'll be home for however long, I guess. And then come back
When?
or go. Yeah, kind of just wait and see a little bit.
Ideal scenario for you then? Because I need to work out what would be a good topic, something that you walk away with going, oh my goodness, that was a good hour of power. It's of value to you.
Right.
And at the same time of value to people ideally who would be listening, not live, obviously. But if you had to put in Jeff's space a younger kid, 10 to 14, wanting to do something more with basketball, what is a topic that would help them as well?
I've played at the high school level, and that comes with its, big things of like everyone's working towards trying to get a college scholarship. And you get to college, and everyone's like, okay, now what's next? We're getting on to play at the next level, now going overseas. So seriously, whatever route you want to take. Because like you said, so like my future is like kind of unknown right now, but like I am getting, some publicity to go play at the next level. And so it's like that also can come with a lot of like, we aren't even like, we're halfway through the season right now. And so that comes with a lot of like stress of like the pressure, put on me is like, oh, like she's needing to come out and like perform in order to like achieve her goals and get at that next level.
Traditionally, how do you go and map out? And there's no wrong or right from my side. How do you map out your season? How do you decide, are you a good goal setter? Aren't you? Because all of that kind of stuff would help
Yeah.
people.
Yeah.
No, there's absolutely no judgment whatsoever. I'm just curious. How do you
Yeah.
go and map out where you...
No, I'm a huge goal setter. I have it in my mind. I'm like, I want this. These are my team goals. These are my individual goals. And this is what I'm wanting to provide for my team. And this is the direction that I want to take us. And before the season started, just talking with Coach Matt, I was like, no doubt in my mind, we're going to go win this whole thing, be QSL champs and stuff. And so it's like, team goals, not losing more than 4 or 5 games, because obviously, you're going to have your off nights where you're not playing as well, or maybe like the other team's just making more shots than you are. But yeah, not losing more than like 4 or 5 days, kind of like a team goal of 9, and then also not losing 2 in a row either. And then obviously like winning as like finishing top 4 so that we are able to go on and play in the semifinals in the championship. And then like some individual goals of mine was like, I wouldn't say like I'm hard on myself, but I expect a lot out of me. And so like coming into this, I was like, my goals were I wanted to like lead the league in, assists and points and, all the things. Just help out my team in any way I possibly can. And that does come with a lot of pressure on me because, you're the import from America and everyone's expecting you to step up and do all of these things. And it's like, if you don't achieve all of those things, it can kind of get a little like,
You move here to zero very
right,
quickly.
yeah, right.
Did you learn to set a team goal or to go and have a conversation with coach? Was that something that somebody taught you? Was that just instinctively that you started doing that? Is that something that you've done all the time since high school? I'm just curious about that.
Yeah, so my dad is actually a college football coach in the States. And so I've grown up around a coach my whole entire life and kind of got to see like how he coaches and manages his team and, their team goals and their individual goals and all of that. And so coming out of it, I've just kind of always just been that way. I'm like, when I first got on the phone with Coach Matt before I even like signed to play here, I'm like, oh, we're going to win it. Like that's, that's just like a non-negotiable, like that's what we're going to do. And in college, that has helped me a ton because before each season, my team and I would all sit down and I'd write on the whiteboard and we'd all go around and say like, what is one team goal that we want to accomplish this year? And then we'd all write them up there and take a picture and then print them and like put them all in our locker room. So it's like every day before a game we would see that and be like, and a reminder of like, these are our goals and this is what we can accomplish, this is what we can achieve. And then it kind of just like helped us have a purpose every game of like, we're playing for each other. This is how we start. Yeah.
Because not many people, what we might do instinctively or naturally doesn't necessarily arrive for other people.
Right.
So some people start their season. I love to do a season planner. So like a January through to December, ideally. Plot out when your actual season is, where your preseason would be, when's the postseason. And I get it, sometimes they do meld, because especially when I play different leagues, but it does help to start giving some structure.
Right.
What I also notice, and what I'm curious to listen about, is that when you set the goal, you said you went to go and have a chat to coach, because so many players don't chat with
Right.
their coach. Have you noticed that?
Yes.
Or is that me making a total generalization?
No, that is a very true statement, because I've seen it all throughout, like, from the very first time, like, I started playing basketball through high school, college, and now here. It's like, I think players have that thing in their mind of, like, my coach is just my coach and that's it. And it's like, I've always just been like, you know, the relationship that you have with your coach is very important, because, like, the confidence that they're able to give you and vice versa, like, you're able to, and the feedback you can give each other is very important. And so I've always just, and I think me being a point guard also, and being kind of the floor general and being kind of the coach on the floor has helped with that. But I've always just would encourage so many people to, like, in sports and stuff, it's like, build that relationship with your coach, so that way, like, you are able to have those gold talks with them. You are
100%.
able to talk to them about even yourself as well, and, like, it come from a place where they know you, they know it's not coming from a place of, like, selfishness of, like, I want to achieve this, rather than, like, they're going to help you do these things.
I think it's an easy, when I say easy, it is a great stepping stone towards starting to create a relationship with a coach, because, like you said, it's so important. And I do encourage people down the line, we've got structures, we can help you with what kind of conversations to have with a coach if you don't know how to, because some
Right.
people don't know how to,
Yeah.
and therefore they don't have it. It really makes the season, when the going gets tough, when the motivation's low, when the pressure's on, to have that North Star and then start creating some sort of bridge.
Right.
I just see it too often, and I am generalizing, but I'm seeing it too often where players outsource their power in terms of to the coach or whomever, crowd, and B, don't know how to create a connection with the people that they're spending a lot of time with.
Yes.
Make sure that your goals are articulated. If you don't know how to, we can help you. And then that is a really easy stepping stone to start having conversation.
Right. Yes. And I think a lot of where kids can get in trouble when they start, you know, and maybe they feel like, well, I feel like I didn't go and talk to my coach in the right way and this and that. And it's like, my advice would be, like, going into and having that conversation with your coach, and, like, first and foremost, like, come at it as an approach of, like, how can I, you know, get better, and turn it on. How can, you know, I be better for this team? How can I be better for you? What are things that I can do to help in, like, all of these ways, rather than coming in and being like, I deserve this, I deserve that, because it's like, no coach, like, if they don't have any trust, or if you don't have any credibility, it's like, what coach is going to trust you to give you the feedback that you're wanting? Just coming at it from an approach of, how can I help this team, and, like, kind of just being more humble about it.
We call that the growth mindset.
Yes.
And so even though it's a goal, and even though it's building a relationship, you still have to have the correct mindset around building the relationship in order to.
Exactly.
Does that make sense?
Yes.
And also in coaching world, so I've explained to people before, and I think I'll just quickly say it again. I don't do the mechanics of your game, of your sport. I do the dynamics, like the inner dynamics.
Right.
So yeah, I've got to set a goal, which is the inner dynamics thing. Oh, therefore I'm not going to set it. C, am I going to tell anybody? Because then, oh shucks, I'm accountable now to the goal.
Right.
Because I've put it down on paper. I'm a big fan of putting it on paper. Do you said with your team you put it on paper?
Yes.
I know it's old
Yeah,
school,
writing it down.
but there's something that's magic when you start putting it to paper.
For sure.
And then what mindset needs to shift on, maybe I don't want to set a goal, maybe I don't. There's like everything involves the mindset at the end of the day.
Right. Very true.
Awesome. Okay. Talk to me about this thing called pressure.
Yes. Pressure. Thing everyone loves.
Throw out that whole thing of Billie Jean King going, pressure is a privilege. Okay. How does that help people?
Right.
Do you know what I'm saying? That's where I want to come from with regard to all the podcasts, is giving people meteor, but how do I deal with it? How do you deal with it? You're in a new scenario, correct? This
Correct.
is the first time that you're the import.
Yes, for sure.
And so pre-game, in-game, post-game, that might help the people listening. So pre-game, there'll be pressure.
Yes.
In-game, there's pressure. And post-game, there's pressure.
Right.
Which one is your strength in handling pressure right now?
I would say in game for sure.
Okay.
And then I'd say the pre-game is where it's a little harder. And I'd say more of like a thing that I've had to battle.
Okay. So there's a hurdle with a pregame.
I would
that what you're saying?
yes, a little bit. So yeah, I'll just talk a little bit about both of those actually. So my pregame is very, I don't have a certain, like routine that I go through every single day. It's like every game day is different. I was not expected to be here actually. Like my college season ended like the beginning of March, and then Coach Matt reached out to me like 2 weeks before my season ended, and then it was kind of like pack your bags, get up and go, and then move here. Oh yeah. Oh no. That happens like everywhere where it's just like it all happens so fast and you're having to adjust very quickly. And then I just remember being on the flight over here with my mom, and I'm just sitting here and I'm like, is this really happening now? Like, this is actually insane. And then it does like all start to hit you that, wow, like I'm the import that they chose.
Yep.
Like I'm the one that they chose to be here to help this team. They chose me to, try and make a difference. So it's like all of those pressures start to kind of make you spiral a little bit of like, oh my God.
Okay.
Yes.
Oh,
Make
good.
me spiral.
So then we'll work out how you work through
Yes.
that or still working through that.
Yeah, my dad has always like taught me, and then I've just always worked through how to manage that. And before every single college game, like whenever I'd be feeling the nerves of like, oh my goodness, like what am I doing? This is a huge game. I need to put on this show and help this team. Before every single game, I would sit there and watch my high school highlight reel.
Yeah.
And before every single game, I'd sit there and I'd watch it, and it would just bring me back to, I call it the trophy room of knowing like, okay, you got to college for a reason, you got the scholarship for a reason,
Nice.
and these are all of your accomplishments, and like this is why you're a great player.
Nice.
And just it brings you back to that place of like, oh yeah, I do this all the time,
Yeah.
rather than the place of, oh my goodness, what am I doing? Instead it takes you back to the place of, wait, I do this all the time.
Yeah.
It's
I
like-
got runs there. I
like
did that.
yeah, I pass like this, I shoot like this, I'm able to like win championships like I did in high school and all this, and it's like, okay, wait, and then it gives you a sense of like calming presence. Gives me a
I'm
calming
coaching,
presence.
that's
I
why,
know.
yeah.
Give me a calming presence.
Nice. Calming. So you did that at college.
Mhm.
Do you still do
Yes.
that?
Yes.
Nice.
Yes.
I think that's a huge takeaway that anybody listening to you could borrow in terms of a strategy.
Yes.
Actually, the first time I've heard that as a strategy. And you can go and cut, not you, anybody else can go and cut their own highlight reel.
Yeah.
It's the brain's natural defense mechanism to not see the good first.
Right.
It's a natural thing. It's a survival technique. The easiest analogy I can give for anybody listening and for yourself, mindset isn't a one-hit wonder. It's not I just do it once and therefore tick. It's like a piggy bank. The older day piggy banks?
Yeah.
The more you deposit into the bank, the more you have deposit-wise to draw from when the going gets tough. So you looking at your highlight reel is really depositing into your piggy bank. Instead of going to the court, your piggy bank's empty, and now you've got to try and withdraw the whole time because, it's big moments, it's clutch moments, it's whatever. So you've already kind of put yourself in credit beforehand. Does that give you a good analogy?
Yes.
So keep on building the piggy bank, the vault, as it were, so that when you need the vault to unlock, you've got a lot of past example. And for those people who perhaps don't have, they're just starting out, there's still ways that they can create that own tape, that highlight reel. It could be in practices.
Right. Okay.
Often players feel that the more or the harder they are on themselves, the more they'll get motivated by being hard on themselves. And so like, oh yeah, you've got to do this perfectly, or you've got to do that perfectly. I just love how you stripped it bare and go, look, there you go. I mean, how many minutes is your highlight reel? 4? 5?
Yeah, like 2, 3.
100%. And you said it made you feel calm,
Oh yeah.
grounded.
Yeah, because you sit there and it just brings me back to all of the great moments, and like it kind of just brings me back to why I started playing basketball in the first place, because it's fun. I think, and like
100%.
I enjoy it,
And you felt good playing.
yes, yes, and it's like it's not supposed to be like all this pressure in the first place. It's supposed to be fun, and and like I think just something about watching myself just smile and basketball and, play with my teammates and stuff like that. That shows me before every single game, like, okay, this is why I play, this is fun. Like, let's just do your thing. Don't stress about things you can't control, but the things I can control are my attitude and my effort.
100%. So I call it the squared cubed method, S cubed. So you first looked at your state,
Yes.
maybe not knowingly, that's the first S. That created a different strategy in your mind, right? Or
Right.
so you're different because you're watching a highlight reel. You went from, oh my goodness, they chose me, I could be a little bit like anxious, I could be a bit nervous, to watching a highlight reel. So you changed your state immediately, which means you changed your story, your internal dialect, which changed your strategy. And those are the 3 S's. So it's the S cubed, and for the people listening, so you change your state, so your physiological state, which is what you did when you watched the highlight reel. That trickles down and it changes your story, because your story initially, you said on the plane, was like, well, I'm the import, I'm the one that they chose, so therefore I have to ...
Exactly.
That's the story.
Right.
Yeah.
Mhm.
And then what state did that old story create when you're like, oh my gosh, I'm the import, they chose me? What state did it give you? Were you like, yay? Or were you like, yeah?
It makes you like nervous.
And when you're nervous, are you in flow? No. Are you hesitant?
Yes.
And how does hesitation play out on the court?
I don't play freely.
No, 100% state to be in.
I tend to I just remember it was the championship game of my senior year. So literally 3 months ago. And I remember I felt so anxious before this game. And I was on the court, literally visibly shaking.
Yeah.
And I just remember starting off the game just unsettling. I was very made passes I shouldn't have made, just could not get a rhythm or a flow. And I remember at a timeout, I just remember looking up my dad and him just pointing to his head remember the trophy room, go back to it. And then it was you're right. And then it was from then
The
on.
state change. So it is a very powerful 3-word coaching methodology. Look at what your state's doing, because your body is actually your barometer. It's not so much your mind. Your mind interprets, but your body. So when you're on court, not you, somebody else on court going, I can't move. Have you ever seen when their decision making so
Yes.
slow and mouth gets kind of pasty?
Mhm.
And sometimes some people's hands actually go a bit numbish. Yeah. It's a nervous system response, and it does not help, especially on basketball.
Right.
People call it choke moments. The story is, and therefore the strategy, so the execution is good.
Right.
So often people want a new strategy,
Mhm.
tell me how to do whatever, but they're not looking at their state.
Right.
So in future, you ever find yourself in game, well, now you've got lots of markers already, your dad saying, remember the
Yes.
trophy room, you can check in, what's my state like in game?
Right.
What's the story I'm telling myself right now?
Mm-hmm.
And therefore, if I keep on missing, my strategy sucks. Well, it's easy. All I have to do is change my state. I don't have to try and override my strategy. Is that helpful?
Yeah, that is very helpful.
Okay. So with the change in your state, when you go, okay, I'm watching the trophy room, what could you reframe that? I'm the import, they chose me, which in the old language, over. So before, I'm looking at 2 strategies
Okay.
here. So before the trophy room, where you changed your state,
Yeah.
that helps you a lot. Awesome. An older strategy that you ran, though, was, oh my goodness, I'm the import, therefore I can get nervous, and that means pressure. If you had to now use your feeling of, I've watched the trophy room,
Right.
yeah?
Mhm.
And instead of saying to yourself, I'm the import, and therefore they chose me, and that means I need to deliver, and that means I'm under pressure, what could you change that story to?
I think I just changed that story to I was chosen for a reason and was chosen for all of my past successes. And so I'm capable of doing even more.
Story that you're telling yourself by just changing your state.
Right.
So it's like a chain reaction. So the old story in the old state when you're flying in was like, I'm tight. My story is, oh my gosh, they chose me, and therefore I have to deliver it, and therefore the strategy is pressure.
Yes.
When you look at the trophy room, it really pays you in calmness. It's like, well, they chose me for a reason because that's what I can do. This is what I do.
Right.
I train every day.
Yes.
Yeah.
The manifesting that.
100%. And then it's whether you believe that story that you tell
Right.
yourself. Because it's so nice to believe the ones that, oh, I'm the person that they chose and therefore I've got to be hard on myself. How come we don't want to believe the good story that we tell
Yes.
ourselves?
Exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah. I think it's human instinct, like you said earlier, to go back to all the negatives. And I may have done all of these successful things. However, I have also failed this many times.
100%.
I think another mindset people and myself need to start changing is that I may have failed, but those failures have led me to learn and grow to successes as well. No one's going to play a perfect game. No one's going to have a perfect career. We're all going to make mistakes. We're all going to have highs and lows. And it's like, how do you learn? How do I learn from that and grow in those lows and not letting those just completely spiral me down into a, all right, well, now I'm just useless.
Which is, I'm so glad you brought this subject up. So many of the younger kids that I work with tend to loop because they don't know yet what they don't know. So you helping them with this S cubed state story strategy, state story strategy is really helpful. So in game, you're pretty okay. What's your post game strategy like for pressure?
I think I'm really big on community, kids, all, and so like coming out of a game and just being able to, especially like in college and here, I'd say, being able to see, you know, kids holding up like my sign and holding up posters and wanting pictures, and all of that really just puts it into perspective of, at the end of the day, like there's a bigger purpose than just your sport. Like, and I'm here for bigger purposes than just playing basketball.
Vehicle
Yes.
that you're here.
But I think like I'm really like, okay, these kids are watching me and watching like how I react after, you know, maybe a tough game, maybe a loss, a win. And it's like, how am I able to control if I don't really play as well and I'm very frustrated? And like, you know, how do I be able to like shift my mindset into like showing the younger ones that like that game doesn't define me, you know? There were a lot of great things that happened as well. And how can I inspire them like through all of that, I guess.
So there's a very resourceful story that you tell yourself post game.
Yes.
However, what kind of state do you put yourself in? You said community, and I actually saw the other day that one of the first things, maybe not the first thing, but one of the things that you did was went to some of the kids, had some photos taken, there were some hugs, you know,
Yes.
like, you know. So you immediately changed your state, which then led to a different story about it
No,
all,
for sure.
which then means the pressure cooker.
Yes.
See?
Right after games, I guess I should say, I'm always one of the last people out of the locker room because I, win or loss, I go back through like the game in my head and I break down maybe like the not so good things, the good things, and then I guess I didn't realize until now, but I definitely think I go through like a mindset shift in the locker room after games because like I'm very competitive and I do not like losing, and so after games when we lose, like I am very hard on myself and put the loss on me, like all on me, and I'm like, that was my fault, I did this, I should have done this better. And then
Which, you know, you're playing a team sport.
exactly. Yes. No, exactly. And that's where like but I think being a point guard especially, and then also just being that import that everyone expects a lot out of me, I think I come in here and I put all that like, again, pressure on me as like, oh my goodness, like you did not perform that well and that's why we lost. And it's like, no. But going into that game or after like the game, sitting in the locker room, I'm just like, try and go back to, okay, no, like how can I get better?
Do you only do that mentally? Do you do that writing down? I'm just curious.
I do that mentally, but then like later that night, I go home after I'm done saying hi to everyone. When I'm by myself in my room, I go back and I watch the game all over again
Okay.
the night of.
Yep.
So it's fresh in my
Yeah.
head.
Yep.
And I end up writing down things.
So you've given another strategy
Yes.
to somebody. So I'm going to assume, I don't like to put labels. You watch your highlight reel, you watch the game afterwards. There's quite a visual component for the way you learn. Saying you're only a visual thing.
Right. But
Add a flavor of writing into that, and then fine tune it even with the audio quality of what you're saying. Yes, I did that not so great. That I could stretch. That could be better. Not just everything was crap. Because that's what I hear it so often with kids. They go, "Oh, I played like crap," and I said, "Well, what are you remembering?"
right.
You're remembering one thing,
One
one
thing.
shot that you, or I missed two in the beginning, and therefore my whole game's going to go like I'm not on today. Those are all story state strategies showing the whole time.
Yeah.
So, is there anything with the post pressure release that needs to be fine tweaked for yourself?
I think so. It is really good for me to go back and rewatch games after, but I think, like you kind of mentioned with this, like the strategy that S cubed, I think I kind of need to come at it with a different approach because I tend to only pick out the negatives
Okay.
in watching my game film after
Okay.
because it's like, yeah, it's great that I hit all of these shots, but I'm like, but dang, these are the ones that like really, affected the game a lot. So it's like I tend to go to only like the things I need to improve on to get better.
Okay.
And sometimes I think that can hinder me a little bit rather than going and watching everything and being like, okay, I may have done these things, but like, Gracie, you did great on these things.
And give yourself
Yeah,
credit for
credit.
that.
Yeah.
Where did you learn not to give yourself credit? Because again, it's a strategy. Somebody somewhere you role modeled. It's a sporting thing. It doesn't mean it has to be that way, that we kind of go, yeah, but, oh, yeah, I did that great, but I didn't do that.
Right. I think
Who was hard on themselves that taught you to be hard on yourself?
I'd say a coach.
Yeah.
Really, and coaches can really do that too. They can put you through so much. And I had this coach, and after I would have like a great game, and after it would be like well, you only did this thing right because this player did this.
Mm-hmm.
You only got these many assists because all of your teammates are better in all of this. And I guess just nothing right I could do, it felt like. And so I think that kind of put it in my head of, okay, maybe he is right. Maybe I'm only this good because of my teammate and all these thoughts.
And
can kind
was
of,
there a high emotion when he gave you that feedback way back then? You don't have to tell me who it is, doesn't matter. Was there a lot of emotion with it?
it put me through my worst year of college was my freshman year.
A belief gets locked in when there's high emotion. And then what happens is it becomes a self-fulfilling prophecy, good or bad beliefs, but heightened emotion is what locks feelings, beliefs, thoughts in.
Right.
Okay, because I get that often as well, where kids go, oh, but. And so we learn a strategy of coping of, okay, see a little bit of good, but not really. See the bad, because that's what I think will help me.
Yeah.
And it's to uncouple that. So if you had to do your post-game strategy watching film, and what do you need to first see 10 good things? Or do you need to make sure that by the end of the game, you've got your stretches, but also you've got 10, like, where's the change for you? Does my question make sense?
I think I need to find that balance of, because it's also never good on the flip side to just only pick out all of your
100%.
positives.
And go, oh my God, I'm so great.
That's
That's not the
also
fair-
not. But I think finding that balance of, okay, these are all the positives, but these are the things I can work on, and that should be a positive thing. Because it's
100%.
like, you always want to grow. I
100%.
always want to grow. I'm never wanting to just like be content with where I'm at and be like, oh, I'm great, I'm perfect, I don't need to work on anything. So I think that's the good news of finding maybe, 10 things you did well and maybe 10 things you did poorly too that you can want to work on as well.
I'm going to task you just because we want to work the muscle of things that you do well.
Yes.
So say you pick out 10 things you didn't do well. I want you to go for 13 things that you did do well.
Yeah.
I would like you to try on the kind of belief system of there's no failure, there's only feedback. How does that sit with you? As opposed to, not that you said failure is a bad thing, you get lessons, but there's no failure, there's only feedback. It's giving me feedback. The game's giving me feedback. The person I'm, guiding is giving me feedback. Feedback on my fitness, feedback on my whatever. How does that feel? There's no failure, there's only feedback.
I've never heard of that before, and I really like it. No, I think that's helpful to anyone,
Yeah.
Who's listening, to myself as well, because you're right. There's no failure, because those can be turned into so many positive things.
100%.
And like you said, the feedback is very important, and that's how you get better in your sport. And that's how I'll get better in my sport.
What I like about there's no failure, there's only feedback. It helps a person to not spiral down that, but therefore you suck. Because nothing has meaning unless we give it meaning. So you being an import actually doesn't have meaning. The only meaning is that you're living in Australia. You can rewrite all of that.
Yeah.
All of that story can change, but it can only change when you change your state.
Yes. Yeah.
Okay. So just to recap, the pressure pre-game, you've got a strategy for that. You watch your highlight reel. It changes your state, which therefore it changes your story. In-game, you feel that's pretty good, like your pressure, how you change.
I feel as like the minute the tip goes up, I feel once, I do my pregame and I just, all my nerves are there.
Actually, do want nerves, just FYI. Because if you don't feel anything,
Oh, yeah.
and that's again the kids that come in, they think I need to just be like this blank slate and just Mr. and Mrs. Neutral. I'm like, we're humans.
Right. And I've also twisted my mindset to be, it's not nerves, you're just super excited.
It's actually the same side
Yes.
of a different side of the same coin.
Yeah. So I just go into it like, I'm really excited. I'm meant for this. Like, I'm excited. I'm here for a reason. And then the minute the tip goes up, I think all of my pregame nerves, excitement just kind of go, and I'm immediately on the court.
They haven't gone, they've been channeled.
There you go.
Yeah, so the power of our language, it's really important.
Right.
It's helping everybody going, okay, I've had that feeling of anxious, blah, 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 whatever, and now I'm going to give it an outlet.
Yes.
I'm going to, the thing that I keep on practicing each time. I remember in my own, I played softball at a national level, and I said to myself, the minute I get onto like home plate and I don't feel nervous is the day I'm going to stop.
Mm-hmm.
Because I need to be alive when I'm, especially if you're a pinch hitter, you got to
Right.
feel it. And so often kids don't want to feel things. And I'm like, no, let's channel that feeling.
Yeah.
So it's left, it's channeled. Cool. And then you've got your post game that you've kind of beefed up a little bit, your post game with regard to pressure. I love the fact that you go and connect with people as well. It's the easiest way for the nervous system to actually regulate itself, is to be
People.
That's how we start to relax.
Right.
Yeah.
Yes.
And then you're going to beef it up with seeing a bit more positive than only the negative
Right.
stuff. And is there something else that needs to be infused? Yes, you got a visual thing. Is there something else that we need to infuse that'll make it even better for you? This thing called pressure.
Yeah, I'd say, so obviously everyone's different. Everyone has their own, like beliefs and ways to manage that. I'd say I am very big in my faith. And so prayer is something that I am very big on. And so before, another like pregame thing that I do is just Bible study and then just sit in prayer and just like, talk to God about my, like where my feelings are.
Perfect.
And so that's a big part of who I am and what I do. And that just helps me channel, like, again, it's bigger than basketball. And it's like, I'm playing for a different purpose than just the wins and losses or the highs and lows. So that is what helps channel me. Someone else might have a different purpose.
And somebody else might do a meditation.
Right. Exactly.
Prayer, meditation, same
Right.
kind of ethos.
Yes.
That's it. Yeah.
Mhm.
Was that something that you've been doing for a long time? Because
Yes.
for people who don't meditate, and just as a quick understanding, if your nervous system, if another person's nervous system, not yours, is highly strung, like constantly on edge, if I as a coach say to him, I think you need to meditate, their nervous system's going, are you kidding me? I think literally the lion's going to jump out of the bush and eat me because my nervous system is so pent up, and you want me to go and sit in the, under a tree and go and sing Kumbaya.
Right.
It's never really going to land. The nervous system just won't be able to pendulate. Yeah. And that's where the community, that's where the touch is, that's where the surrounding yourself with people really starts to help. Then you can go and do your meditation.
Yes.
So your nervous system, okay, I can do this.
Yes.
Been here before.
It's been a pre-game thing I've done ever since my freshman year of high school and during the national anthem.
Nice.
It's
all rituals.
Mm-hmm.
It's all rituals. And what I love about that is that it tells the body game time.
Game time.
It's
Exactly.
going, oh, I've been here before.
Right.
Oh, it's the national anthem. It's like in southern hemispheres and also northern, we play a thing called rugby.
Right.
Yeah. I know there's a bit of it in America, like NFL, but not. And there's a team called the All Blacks, which is a Kiwi team, and they do what's called the haka before a game. I'd love you to go and have a look at it.
Okay.
YouTube it,
Yeah.
the haka, Haka. It kind of brings this whole change your state
Right.
immediately to the foreground because it's changing. It's their form of prayer. And I don't mean that to degrade prayer for anybody. I'm just trying to give it people understanding.
Yeah.
It's a chanting. There's a lot of slapping involved. It's like their standing meditation. And that gives them into this absolute peak performance state. And the Kiwi national, the All Black rugby side is one of the most successful franchises in world sport team history.
Wow. Okay.
So if somebody had never done prayer, they don't do meditation, what would you suggest could be something? Because when you pray, what's your breath work like? Run it through your mind.
Yes.
Are you shallow breathing? Are you deep breathing?
I'd say I'm more of like the calm,
Nice.
deep breaths, just like at that peace state. Yeah.
100%.
Right.
So could breath work be something that somebody who's never done prayer?
Oh, for sure.
Yeah.
Yes. Actually, in college, it'd be like the day before games, so right before games, but we would our athletic trainer or our weight strength coach would put us through breath work. So we'd all like after a practice, I'd lay on the floor and he would just do breath work with me. And it did bring me to a place of like, wow, this is
Really
it's called great.
Fight, flight, freeze, response. That's your nervous system is, I'm ready to get up and go. Yes.
Mm-hmm.
When there's too much of that, it kind of goes, oh my goodness, I'm to the other side. And then there's the rest and repair, which is what prayer does, which is what meditation does, which is what breathwork does. And that is going to top up your piggy bank again.
Yes.
So breath work, meditation, prayer. And then all of a sudden, when the pressure gets there, the pressure piggy bank isn't as big because you've got so much in the other piggy bank. Makes sense?
Yeah.
So is breath work with your prayer something that you can like double up
Oh, for sure.
with intention?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
No, I think so.
Cool.
So yeah.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Because I'm always looking, how could I stack?
Right. Yes.
If I'm doing prayer, can I do breath work? Can I do some stretches like whilst I'm praying? Because who said you have to sit still? Or can I move my body just in a way that feels comfortable? Yeah. Again, our bodies aren't meant, especially as athletes, to be rigid and stiff. We want to move.
So random, but it's like during the national anthem, I always fidget. But no, I get what you mean.
Yeah. I mean, some people have rosary beads, like if they're Catholic, they have rosary beads.
Mm-hmm.
I don't mind. Like, I'm not here to prescribe what people need to do. And how can we layer something that you already do as a strategy and make it even better? Because the season comes and goes, you want to go on to something better, you need even more rock solid strategies.
Yes.
When you've got, playing in front of 60,000 people. It takes on a different kind of edge. So if you've got great strategies that you're already implementing, how can you just beef them up is what I'm trying to get at.
Yeah.
I'm not saying that nothing's not working for you because you're having a great season. It is. Unpacking it this way, I trust has helped you a little bit to see pre, in, post. And how can you change your state for either pre, in, and post and how that changes your story And then how do I layer it and make it even better?
Yeah. I think there's some truth to like being outdoors and just kind of like, taking in the fresh air, the sun, the bird, just all the little details. And I think me, instead of maybe just like sitting in my room, praying, maybe like going outside and taking a walk.
Beautiful.
Yeah.
Beautiful. So anthropologically or nervous system wise, just think about it. Would you, in the good old bad old days of the cavemen and women days, would you have taken a walk if you didn't feel safe?
No.
No.
Yeah, no.
So if you're taking your body out now for a walk, feet on the ground, it's earthing, negative ions, there's a lot of science behind it as well. You got your feet on the ground, you're saying your prayer, you're doing some breath work whilst you're chanting. Chanting is fantastic. It's a vagus nerve thing. You're outside, you're listening to the birds, and birds, by the way, don't chirp unless it's safe as well. So all of a sudden, what do you think is happening in the body? Just curious.
Probably just calm me. Like your body's just coming to a point and safe, zen.
And so taking that state into your game, what is it going to tell you about your story?
Yeah, that it completely changed. Instead of focusing on all of the negative things in your head about all the things that could go wrong, it shifts it into I'm at a place of peace and calming.
And starting to shoot from peace and calm. I'm not saying peace and calm like I don't give a damn, but it's peace and calm like my body feels fluid. I feel grounded.
Yeah, play again.
And so in your mind's eye, run through a shot that you might take, whether it be a layup, whether it be a free throw, whatever, but take it from a state of calm, grounded. My body feels great. I feel very present versus a state of, oh my gosh.
Yes. I think
What happens in your mind's eye when you're taking a shot from that different present state?
Yeah, at the first stage of the, oh my goodness, like I'm freaking out kind of stage, I think I tend to not shoot it well, lay it in well, like miss a lot of shots. It's because I'm just like, I'm not playing like my normal self. And I'm just in a tense, like my body's tense and like tensed up.
Yeah.
And yes, my mind's in also that tense state as well. And so then shifting it to just playing free and just like like my body just being more relaxed, I'm able to just make the shots I'm used to shooting in practice all the time and all playing. It's funny how a lot of people and like myself will play really well in like a scrimmage or training because it's like no one's there. No one expects me to do anything.
We haven't given it any meaning.
No.
Fluid.
Yes.
That's what we love.
Yes.
And then all of a sudden you get in front of a crowd and you've made unconsciously all these rules about it. And then if your piggy bank is empty and has no capacity, your piggy bank's your nervous system.
Right.
If your nervous system has no capacity, then with these bigger stages, it's just going to wheel fall.
No, for sure.
There you go.
Yeah.
What have you learned today? What have you noticed? What would you like to share? Just let everything kind of filter through. What have you learned? What have you noticed? What would you like to share?
Yeah. I have learned, I'll take away the 3 S's because I've never thought of it how all of them go with each other and correlate. And changing your state, then change your story and your strategy. And I think that's very important. Just being an athlete, I would often think about my story, the outcome, other than I could have changed my state in the process.
Boom.
That would have changed the whole outcome. But it's like, I
can
never
see
thought
that.
about my state.
Yeah.
It was more of like just the outcome of it. So, yeah.
We're kind of hyper focused on strategy right now. What does YouTube do so well? It's all how-tos. It's all strategies.
It is.
I'm not having a go at YouTube, please. It's great. Our state. And so you're going to be putting yourself into a new state. Feet on the ground. Going to do some breath work. The trees, birds, prayers. Touch the Bible if you need to touch it. So all of a sudden you're engaging all your senses as well. Yeah?
Yeah.
You're going to do that?
And I didn't even realize that actually. Yeah. Wow.
Which then makes your body feel safe.
Yes.
Your state is relaxed. It's present. Which the present that feeling of calmness present is all situated in right hemisphere of the brain. That's the relaxed to repaired. It's like it's all intertwined.
Yeah.
And that takes you into the game with a different feeling, a different story. And then post, you can, again, wash, rinse, repeat. Very important. So state, especially when you're watching your film and you're engaging with people, watch the story. You're going to shift some of your kind of focus. And if it's going to give you a different strategy. So what would you like to congratulate yourself on today?
I'd say the realization, because I tend to be an athlete that's very, very hard on myself, the realization that it is very important to recognize all of the 10 things I did well, maybe only like 7 things I need to work on. Instead of I may have like previously flipped it and been, oh, these are 4 things I did well. These are the 13 things I did bad. And why am I here?
See how your state and the people listening by being open. I think it's really
awesome.
cool.
Yeah, and
Helpful to me. So lastly, we'll finish off. I think this is kind of your first official mindset session.
Mm-hmm.
Telling somebody who's never had one, what would you say to them? Not about me. I'm not looking for self-justice. What would you say about this thing called mindset and learning about it? What would you tell them?
I would say it is very important to look into and learn about. I think so many people just talk about the word mindset and it's like, oh, it's all about mindset, but it's like,
yeah, we get it.
We've heard that 5 million times, but like what about mindset can get athletes from being just, okay to just being great, and not just in the sport, but just in their mind as well. Because the mind is a very powerful thing, and it's all about how I shift my mindset into that will help with the outcome of it, I guess. So I would just tell them everyone needs to look into mindset more and take a deeper dive. And this is a really good start.
Congratulations. I would like to finish off just to say thank you again for your time. It was awesome. I love playing today. I love athletes. It's just going to put my game on. I've got a certain amount of time that I need to do the thing with my jam. I want to ask you to share this with somebody that you know.
Okay.
And it can be anybody. It can be your current teammate. It can be somebody overseas. I want you to pay it forward to somebody else.
Yes, absolutely.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks for your time.
Yes, thank you.